here, and this is persecutors. And I want to say the emotion here that comes from persecution, a lot of times what the emotion is frustration or impatience or disappointment. Like, I've tried and tried and tried, and you're just not doing what I wanted you to do. How dare you? And so we get very frustrated. When we're in the persecutor role in case management, it almost becomes a parent-child dynamic. And I want to be really clear, we work with adults. And so if we treat adults like children, what will they behave like? Children. But if we treat adults like adults, then what do? They act like adults. And so we want to treat people like adults. Persecutors, a lot of times they're looking down at or feeling superior to, which doesn't do much for the relationship. You know what I mean? So we want to be very thoughtful about how this shows up. Persecutors can also be we can be victimized by our clients as well. I don't want you to think that we're the only persecutors. There are times where our clients are the ones that are bullying us, right? We're feeling very, like this whole table was like, yes. Okay, so here are some statements that you might hear from a client that are very persecutor in nature. You caseworkers just want to keep me down. You don't care about people like me. Have you heard that, something in that arena? Or, this office always loses my paperwork on purpose. This may not be rooted in reality, but it's reality for them. That's how they feel, and they're feeling very, and by the way, remember I said persecutors oftentimes are also victims. They just don't know it. They're blaming everybody, but they're also feeling victimized. It's the way that they take their power back. From a caseworker, the way that persecutor shows up, if you don't follow these rules exactly, you're going to lose all your benefits, and it's your fault. I would hear things on these streets where people are like, if all I had to do was turn in a piece of paper to get my money, that's what I would do. And I'd say, then go do that. Get on Cash Aid. See, you'll love it.
I wish I had my child care paid for.
Yeah.
I wish I had mileage reimbursement.
Yeah. Yes.
I just hear the reverse a lot on the phone when someone had their benefits cut. They say, well, I bet you got paid today. I did.
Yeah. 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 But but here's what's interesting. I'm going to go there for just a second. How many, raise your hand if you've ever turned in your time card late? And you still got paid on time. Right? I did it all the time. I'm late for everything. Tardy Tiffany is my nickname. Ask around. So I'm late for everything. I forget. And so, but I always get paid on time. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to judge somebody turning in their paperwork late because I do the same thing. I'm just glad it got in. Let me see what I can do. I know I know when that direct deposit hits every time. So we want to make sure that we're not persecuting people. We can be honest. We can have those fierce conversations. We can say things like, I know this is really frustrating for you that your benefits didn't show up on time, and I can understand that this is creating a hardship for you. What can we do differently to make sure you get this in on time next time? What support? What can you do differently? What support do you need from me? Do you see how that's a different conversation? It's late. There's nothing we can do, and shaming and blaming people into submission is, if that worked, then we wouldn't be here, right? So we have to find a different way. Another thing that you may hear from a caseworker, again, in a county far, far away, none of you in this room. Clients just don't want to help themselves, they're lazy. That's a persecutor statement, full of judgment, full of shame. It doesn't really do anything to motivate people. I want to be very conscientious here because I can guarantee you that we would never say that to a client to their face. Is that a fair statement, that none of you would call a client lazy to their face? 3 people said they would never do that, so good. I'm glad we're on that track. And how many conversations are people having behind the scenes, in the break rooms, at their desks, in the cubicles that are derogatory? That's still a form of persecutor behavior. It's still a form of persecutor behavior when you're putting other people down. And so we want to be very conscientious about the energy that we bring around case management and about the way we talk about clients. It's normal to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated with people from time to time. That's normal. I don't want you to feel bad for feeling frustrated. But you also have to be conscientious about what you say and the energy that you bring, because that's what creates the culture in your organizations. And so if everybody's feeling super comfortable talking trash about the people that we provide services to, or each other, because let's just face it, we don't limit our trash talking to just our clients, our coworkers as well. I hang out in your break rooms. I hear what's going on. If that's the vibe, then that's gonna create, again, the energy that we share with people. It doesn't do much for building good relationships if I smile in your face and then talk trash about you behind your back. Okay? So the way we get through Persecutor, and I want to share something about these questions, because what we're trying to do here is give you some opportunities or some at least starting points for how you start to use coaching questions. Remember, the goal here is open-ended, curious questions. You can use these not just for other people, but you can use them for yourself as well, because you're going to find yourself as a victim from time to time. You're going to find yourself as a persecutor from time to time, and you're going to need to coach yourself through some of these situations. So if I were in a persecutor mode, I'm just going to put this on me, like if I was feeling like a persecutor, which can happen. Apparently, Carl's called me one a couple of times. He looked at me with the fight or flight, and apparently I fight, but who knows? He's got to see me after this. We'll work this out later. But one of the questions I might ask is, what's important to me in this situation? If my instinct is to blame or shame or put somebody down, I might ask myself, well, what's important to me here? Is it important that I'm right? Or am I trying to change behavior? Is it important that I get the last word? Or am I trying to solicit some information? So what's important to me here, and how do I guide my behavior around what's important? What impact am I hoping to have? Am I hoping to make everyone feel bad? Or am I hoping to build relationships? What's the impact? Because I have to guide my behaviors to match the impact. What's underneath the frustration? Is it because people aren't listening to me and I'm so smart? Gosh, if you would just do what I said, don't you know all your life problems would be solved, right? Or what feedback would you want to receive if you were in their place? This comes back to even just human conversations. I wish we had more time in this session, but let me just ask you a quick question. If someone had a challenge with your behavior, would you rather hear it from them or somebody else? From them? Anybody, somebody else? No? Okay. So 100% of us that answered said we'd rather hear it from them directly. But if that's the case, and by the way, I do this informal survey all the time, and nobody ever says, well, a few people will say, well, it depends. But I'd rather hear it from them if they're polite about it. So if 100% of us say that that's what we prefer, why are we so reluctant to have genuine conversations with each other? Because it's just much easier to talk about people than to talk to them. A persecutor talks about people. A challenger will say, I have some real concerns with what's going on. Here's what I've noticed. What do you think? And they have those hard conversations. I mean, do any of you do squats for fun? You just say, I got 5 minutes, let's bust a few of these out? No? If we do squats, why do we do squats? To get the booty, yes, thank you. We want the results. We want the benefit of doing the squats. And if you've ever had a good leg day, you walked the next day like a baby deer. Oh, I'm not drinking water today. I'm not sitting down and standing up. This is suffering. We call it discomfort for the sake of growth. And so as a persecutor, sometimes we have to create those moments of discomfort for the sake of growth. I don't necessarily enjoy telling someone, you're failing out of your classes because your attendance is irregular. And one of the reasons that you're struggling is that you only show up 1 out of 5 days a week. But what can be different for you? I may not like to have that conversation, but by going, oh my gosh, if this person would just, behind their back, how is it going to change behavior? It's not. So we've got to be willing to have those conversations, and sometimes that means, what feedback would you want to receive? Wouldn't you want someone to tell you? It's kind to give people information. It's unkind to talk behind their back. All right? But also work with the willing. Okay? Work with the willing. And if people trust you, it's easier to do. So what could be possible if we approach this as a shared problem? How can we work together? Remember, we're working on partnerships here. So what can we do together to make this work? So what can you do? What do you need from me? And the last question here, of course, is how might the other person be experiencing this? You know, sometimes we, again, are full of judgment. When I was in their place, I could do this, that, and the other. Well, guess what? Good for you, but you're not in their place. Even though we might have had similar experiences, every experience is individual, right? So if we can remove that judgment, remember that's part of the coaching mindset, and stop persecuting people and instead really be curious, share the hard information that needs to be shared. Here's what I see, what do you think? Hold up that mirror. It gives people an opportunity to make different decisions. Does that feel much different than what we do now? And it happens at all levels. Can I just say, it's not just caseworker to client. It happens in our management. It happens in our supervisors. It happens in our coworker relationships. We've got to just acknowledge that we're all people and we deserve respect for each other. That means we stop persecuting, we start challenging. And challenge the status quo. It doesn't have to be like this. Okay? So, yeah, that's right. Can I get a hallelujah? All right. Take away my microphone.
Let me help you with your calves and piggyback on what you're saying here. So, first of all, thank you for reminding me about the 3 timesheets I need to turn in today. Brandon in the back is somebody I turn timesheets in, so he knows how timely I am with mine. But he always pays me, so thank you very much. But so, just a couple other things with that idea. Do you think we could train people to talk to us? Do we train people to talk to us? Sure we do. Sure we do. Right? Do we train people how to behave with anybody have kids? Yeah. Right? Remember she talked about the parent-child relationship? Do you think clients we can train our clients on how we want to receive information, how we want to be talked to, how much help we're willing to give them, right? Or how much they should expect from us, right? That's being a persecutor. Well, that's what I'm here for. How many people here are great problem solvers? Anybody a really good problem solver? You all are good problem solvers. That's why you're here, right? But just think about it. What's the best thing about solving somebody's problem? You don't know. Yeah. Huh? Gratitude. Okay. And some of you may not know, but a lot of us in this room are addicts. We're addicts to that dopamine hit that happens when we solve a problem. Crossword puzzles, Wordle. I got my Wordle in 3 today. Don't judge, right? But just those little things that we do, including pointing somebody the right direction, pointing somebody to a career closet, right? Getting somebody to refer to mental health. Yes, I did it. Dopamine hit. Get a little high for a little bit. That feels good. We want more. Right? Our brain does this without our permission. So it's very easy for us to fall into that problem-solving mode where we are constantly solving somebody's problems and keeping that dopamine high. Right? And the problem is dopamine will go away and we'll feel that void, right? But we can train people to solve their problems for them, right? And sometimes we don't even know why, right? So it's a real challenge. But also, what else can we do to not be a persecutor? How about this? Anybody ever, how often do people, okay, we have an appointment at 10:30, or maybe you just send out the mailers. You have an appraisal appointment at 10:30. Anybody ever say, hey, we have 2 appointments, one at 10:30, one at 1:30. Which one works for you? That is a cheap win. It is a low-hanging fruit, right? It's just like, hey, do you mind coming in the back with me? They got to come in the back with you. But what are you doing, right? Do you mind if I ask you a question, right? Amanda, are you Amanda, or would you like to go by Miss Baker? Okay, cool, Amanda. I'm Carl. If you want to go by Miss Baker, I'm Carl too. Well, I'm Dr. Carl. No, I'm Carl too, right? But just those little things like that, because there's a power imbalance, right? And they feel like we're standing over there in judgment as a persecutor. How do we level the playing field? Getting people involved to say yes, the Socratic method. Say yes, be agreeable. The more they're agreeable, the more they're open to having questions asked and being able to provide us honest answers, vulnerable answers. Right? So it's such an important piece when we think about being a persecutor. And then also, the rescuer, like I said, there's that dopamine hit that we want to solve everyone's problem. We want to save them, right? That's why I come, to help people solve their problems, to keep people out of self-sufficiency. That's not what we're here for, but to help people become self-sufficient. Great. But how do we help them? What happens if we get promoted or we move to another department, right? You ever have a client switch workers? Can I come back to you? Right? Yeah. So you see some of the rescue words. I don't want to apply for worker training programs. I need you to make everything easier for me, right? If you don't fix this for me, I'll never make it. I don't want to look for a job after 2 o'clock because my kids get off at 2 o'clock and I'm a good parent, right? You know, whatever. I don't want a job search outside of Visalia. I don't trust the buses, right? All of those are resistance to change, right? What are we asking our clients to do? Go from one place to somewhere else. How many people here like change, just for any type of change, just for change's sake? Okay, yeah, 2 people, that's about the right ratio. Yeah, yeah. And we're asking our folks to do it and to not complain about it and not be frustrated, not be scared, just to do what we say or else. I mean, we're getting rid of sanctions, right? A lot of people say, well, what are we going to do without sanctions? I don't know. What did you do with sanctions? How was your WPR with sanctions? I mean, do we really want to get real, right? You know, so do we want more of the stick or the carrot? All right? How many people were raised with, hey, if you don't get your room clean, we're not going to the zoo? How many people were raised with, hey, once you get your room clean, we get to go to the zoo? What's the difference? Same message though, right? You know, get her done so we can go. But one is an order, a threat, ultimatum. The other one is incentive, right? You know, hey, once you get your room done, you know, we can get to the zoo. Do you need any more information, any help? Right? How can I help you to get your room done without picking up your stuff, right? So, you know, but you see the rescue behavior. Don't worry, I'll bend the rules. I'll make this happen. We're training our staff to depend on us. I mean, our clients to depend on us. Our staff to depend on us too, right? Any managers in the room. I'll just complete the application form so they don't have to struggle, right? So I'll fill in the blanks for them. And there's sometimes that I don't know if you guys have ever filled out any of the forms that we give our clients, right? There are some things where, you know, it might be difficult. I had somebody who had a hard time wondering what SSN was. She'd done taxes for her family for 20 years, and in the third of our master application, what does SSN mean? Social Security number. Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I didn't know that. Sure you knew that. You're just scared because you've never filled out an application before. That's cool. Let me help you walk through it. I'm here to answer your questions. I'm not going to write it for you, right? So those are things we can do. But like I said, these behaviors, we can definitely train our clients to depend on us in a way that is very unhealthy, right? Especially if we're trying to help them become self-sufficient, right? All right, so we have an activity for you, and this time you can do the whole table. We have time for the whole table. Yeah, you guys can all talk to each other, and we'll give you time, I promise. Right, so choose, you know, the client caseworker dynamic, right? You know, who are you? Are you the client? Are you the caseworker? And we're going to do a role play. And you're going to think about some of the key points of the inaction. You're going to think about a typical client. What is something that they're going to meet with you about? What are some, you know, a challenge that they might have, a plan that they might want to have. And as the worker, you're going to utilize the coach approach, right? You're going to facilitate dialogue, get them talking more, right? Encourage reflection, ask them questions that help them think about what it is that they're doing without them saying, I don't know, what do you think I should do? Right? And so that really helps. And just before we, I mean, because the coach approach is kind of the third level of conversational intelligence, right? The first level of conversational intelligence is information sharing. I ask you a question, you give me information. Like a appraisal appointment, right? OCAT, right? Whatever it is, right? I'm asking you a question, you give me answers. The second level is when I ask you a question, you give me an answer, and I give you a response, which is usually a judgment or a problem solution, right? If level one is, so where are you going to lunch? Oh, I'm going to go to Dos Coyotes. Level two is, so where are you going to lunch? Oh, I'm going to go to Dos Coyotes. Don't go to Dos Coyotes. No, go to, you know, go to Garibaldi's. It's better. It's better. You know, but that's your opinion, right? Level three is, where are you going to lunch? Oh, I think I'm going to Dos Coyotes. Oh, well, what do you like there? You see how that's different? How often do conversations end at level two? I just gave you my opinion. Okay, well, I don't want to fight with you. That's fine. I'm going to leave. I like those guys. I can't believe what's wrong with him, right? You know, so that usually stops there. But level 3 is tell me what you like, what's interesting, and let that person give you their answer and maybe expand upon it. So usually in those open-ended questions, they will expand it. That's an open door question as opposed to closed door, which are yes or no's. Right. Do you want to add anything to it?
I just want to make sure you have good instructions. So at your table,
I'm going to sit down now. I'm
I'm going to rescue real quick. So what you're going to do is you're going to, at your table, decide a client interaction. So whether it be someone's child care fell through, or they're looking to set up a new activity, or anything else. I'm thinking about going to school, or I just lost my job, or I just got hired. Just something that you would come across in the wild, just a normal everyday interaction. The thing that I don't want you to do, and you don't have to do like full role play, so don't think you have to do like a wardrobe change or anything like that. You could just have a conversation about it. Like, here's something I might experience. So instead of telling the client what to do, or telling, like, you need to do this, you need to do that, what I'd like you all to practice with is just generating open-ended questions. So as a quick example of this, if we're saying, let's talk about maybe transportation, instead of saying, well, I can give you a bus pass so you can get around, I might ask some more questions. Oh, your transportation fell through. So what's your normal mode of transportation? What's your plan B if that falls through? If you had to get to the grocery store right now, what could you do? Like, asking just some additional questions before you just go into problem-solving mode. The mindset of coaching, and I want to, some of you, I'm a walking Pinterest board. I always got one-liners. So here's the line for coaching. I can listen to your problem without making it mine. Okay? And that's the real pinnacle of what coaching is I'm not here to solve your problem for you because you're capable enough to solve this problem by yourself. But what I can do is ask you some questions to get you thinking about solutions. And that's what we want you to practice. You can use some of the examples we gave you earlier. You can come up with your own. But what we're not going to do is solve the problem for the client. We're going to ask enough questions that they can solve the problem for them. And what we're hoping for, this is, I don't know if Carl agrees with me or not, the coaching high that I'm always looking for is when someone goes, huh, that's a good question. And you see like sparks start to fly in their mind. That's when I start smoking a fake cigarette. Like, yes, got him. Because they just sparked something and opened up a new door that has been closed. And now they're thinking about something different. That's when I'm like, I earned my check today, right? I'm really excited about that. So all we want you to do right now is to just think about like what would happen in real life. What questions can you ask? You don't necessarily have to have the answers. It's not about the answers today, it's about the questions. But really create a list of some open-ended questions that will facilitate dialogue, what's gonna get people to talk. Instead of saying, who do you live with? Tell me about your living situation, right? Instead of saying, do you do drugs? Can we talk about your relationships with drugs and alcohol? Right? Do you see these are questions we might be asking? Like, let's have a different type of conversation. We also want people to encourage reflection. We want to say, how's that working for you? What would you like to be different? If you could see yourself in a year from now, what would you like to see? These are things that require people to kind of think differently, and of course, to spark critical thinking. If you've said this child care provider has bailed on you 27 times, what are some other choices that you could do that might give you a little bit more stability? Do you see how these are asking people to think instead of going, 27 times, why do you keep taking them there? At this point, you should have already had a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. Doesn't that feel judgmental? It doesn't mean it's not true, but it's still judgmental. It's not your problem to solve. So that's what I want you to do. Come up with some questions. Carl and I are going to wander. Carl, you're wandering.
I've been wondering for the last hour and a half. But one thing to think about too when you're having this conversation, one thing that it's easy to fall into, have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that? If you catch yourself starting to guide somebody to an answer that's your own, you're doing it wrong.
Yes, because that's giving advice in the form of a question.
Yeah.
And remember, have you thought about is still a yes or no question. It's not an open-ended question. So you could say, what have you thought about? That's a different question. But have you thought about having your mom? Have you thought? That's advice. Okay? So talk to each other. Come up with some good questions. We're going to come around and help you as you need to, and we'll ask volunteers to share some of those questions after. Okay, my friends, start to wrap up your conversations here. All right, you ready, ready, ready? Okay, my friends, let me get y'all back together. I don't want to put anyone in the hot seat here, but if you want to drop it like it's hot. Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like us to go around the room and ask for volunteers to just share your question. You don't have to give us the backstory, the context, or anything. Just some of the open-ended questions that you came up with at your table. And that way you all can build your tool set with all these great questions. So anybody want to volunteer a really fantastic question?
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. So our question was that she's your supervisor, right, or manager? Yeah. So she has a situation where she has a client that has to go to a program called WEX. It's like another community-based organization that helps them with employment. But this person hasn't been able to meet the compliance of going to the appointment, so they could start work, right? But they're already they're job ready, but then they're not job ready because they have to go to the appointment to be able to talk about the work plan. So then we came up with like revisiting like how we're gonna set the tone to speak to this client, right? To follow compliance. So we came up with, right, revisiting like going to the appointment, how can we help, what can we do next, and how do we get this client to kind of understand that it's a process, right? It's not, or how is this making them feel uncomfortable to go to an appointment? And if it does make them feel uncomfortable, then maybe we could revisit the conversation, right? So we could, remind them.
Very good. I do want to offer just a slight shift in the mindset, because the goal I kept hearing is compliance. And what I would maybe potentially explore with that client just a little bit is, tell me about where you're headed. And is this important to you? Here's how it can benefit you. What do you think? Because if we're just trying to get them to be compliant, we're missing part of the puzzle, right? Because it should be about them. And most people, there's the little phrase called whiff 'em. Have anybody heard of the whiff 'em? What's in it for me? So if we're saying we want you to be compliant, they say, kick rocks. I don't care about compliance, right? I'm doing all right. But if we're talking to them about, I know you've said that your goal is to get employed, and I know you've said that you want to have a great job because you want to take your kids to Disneyland over Christmas, and I think that's such a great goal. I'm wondering how not attending these appointments is helping you get closer to your goal. What's going on, right? But I think it's a great question. Great question.
One other thing, rather than asking, do you feel comfortable? How comfortable do you feel?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Great.
a powerful question that allows that person to not answer yes or no. They can say, I don't know, I'm okay. Well, what is okay? It's difficult. Well, tell me how it's difficult. You wouldn't understand. Well, help me to understand. That's why I'm here. Those types of things, that leads right into it. So,
Right
yeah.
here.
Thank you. No. So we discussed a common scenario where a client is coming in to develop a plan to participate, a plan of engagement, and they don't know what they want to do. So we talked about asking them if you could do anything, what would that be?
Yeah.
And then just be willing to sit back and wait and listen without judgment to what it is that they want to do.
Absolutely. And that's a really important piece of this. Again, we only had an hour and a half, so we couldn't get into the next part of coaching, or an equally important, not just asking the right questions, but listening to the responses, right? Really actively listening and paying attention to what people say, paying attention to what they don't say to spark more conversation. So I don't know, I'm not sure, well, what's been important to you? If you could see yourself in a year, what might that look like? If there were no barriers in your way, no challenges, and you could do whatever you wanted to do, what does that look like? And I have to be honest, not everybody knows that. And so if they don't know right now, don't put, I need an answer today, right? Because that's aggressive. So you might say, you know what, maybe you're not sure right now, but if I give you a couple days to think about it, can we have this conversation in a few days? Because not everybody's good on the spot. And you give them that space to think about it. It doesn't have to be boom, 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 boom. There's a reason that most people don't do one coaching session. We sell them in packages. At my website, no, I'm just joking. That's coming. No,
We do
but
have a podcast, though. Yeah.
yeah, no, but it doesn't happen in it's not a one and done conversation. Just like a coach doesn't just show up the first day of a soccer season, right? You don't just show up at the game. There's work that goes into it for people to be able to make progress. So we have to be patient with that process, all right? And same is true, people might make a few steps forward and then a couple of steps back, and we don't want to meet that with judgment. We just want to acknowledge you were doing really great, what was working for you, what changed, what can you do differently. It just always comes back to these ideas of curiosity and getting people talking. They will solve their own problems without you having to jump in. Now, for the sake of time, we only are going to go with those two, but did you all have really good conversations at your tables? This doesn't come naturally, by the way. I just want you to be all very conscientious that this is going to take time, energy, and effort to change the way that you ask questions and the way that you go with the coach approach. So I'm not going to ask you to go just all in as soon as you get back to your offices. Maybe start with one conversation and see how it goes.
Tiff,
And then
can I give one quick?
you're going to do it anyway, so go for it.
It's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission, right? So if you said, what do you want to do? I've heard a lot of people say, I just want to be a good parent, right? What do we do with that? Well, like I said, use reflective listening, right? So I just want to be a good parent. Well, what is a good parent to you? Who have you seen to be a good parent? What are they doing, right? Very often that'll lead to, well, they worked 35 years at, at San Onofre or whatever else it is, right? And so letting them set their ideal rather than us telling them this is the ideal, let them set the ideal. And that's something that they can shoot for, especially when it's something that they know, right? So, it's hard. Well, how is it hard? It's difficult. Oh, tell me how it's difficult. You wouldn't understand. Help me to understand. That's what I'm here for. Use their words as a springboard. It's called reflective listening. That's just a quick, quick tip. I'm making it longer than it is, but it's a quick tip to use if you get stuck in one of those situations.
Yes.
Can I just say something really quick? I used to work at a community college and with CalWORKS students, and one of the questions that we would ask, because we have to have like a major, is one of the questions we would ask is, what kind of games did you like to play when you were in the 4th grade? What kind of things did you like to do in the 4th grade? And that's like, what? The 4th grade? But that's when scientifically our brains are doing things that they're supposed to do to prepare us for adulthood. And if you found joy in that, then you'll find joy in it in the future. And so that was like a kind of good icebreaker question that throws everyone off, because I don't know what I want to be. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that feels like. Oh, we played hobo all the time. Oh, tell me more. What did that feel like? What did that look like? How did that sound? Those kinds of things. Oh, I was the mayor of our town on our street. We lived on a dead-end street on the reservation. Oh, tell me more, right? And then that got that whole, oh, so here's leadership, here's policy, here's teaching, here's all these other things that come into that.
I love that so much. That's exactly what it is. That's the coach approach in action, just right there. It just boils down to be curious in what other people are thinking. Be curious. Ask questions. Be interested. When you can show that genuine interest, and by the way, if you're not genuinely interested, it's going to show. It's absolutely going to show. So don't try to fake the funk, okay? You have to be interested or not, but you have to be present. And I know that you have 14 other appointments waiting for you after this one, but you still have to be there in that moment with that person for the time that they need. It doesn't take much more time, to be very honest with you. It actually saves you time in the long run, because the more that you can empower people to make decisions, to build those neural pathways to problem solving, the less doing you're going to have to do for people, and the more cheering on that you're free to do. You get to cheer them on. So we have a couple of reflection questions. You don't have to do them now. You can think about this later. I know for the sake of time, we want to get you out of here. But this was a surface level, hour and a half, quick course in coaching. But just know that both Carl and I have full day courses, half day courses that we can bring to your organizations on coaching, case management.
Client engagement, communication, yeah.
Yes, so we
Team
have a
building.
couple of tables. This is our shameless plug now. We do have a couple of tables at the end of the table that have business cards if you want to. I brought candy. I don't know if you needed sugar. I needed to bribe people to get to my table. Everybody's got plants and pamphlets. I'm not that organized, but we do have some stuff over there if you're interested, and come talk to us. We'll figure something out if you want to bring this to your organizations.
Don't forget the podcast.
Oh, you go ahead. That's all you.
Well, she's not proud of our podcast, but hey, so we have a podcast. We've been doing it about a year and a half now. We're 114 episodes in. It's called Keeping It Real with Tiff and Carl, and it's on all major podcasts, so YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, all of those. If you just check it, you'll see our smiling faces there. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, please subscribe. Like and subscribe. That'd be great.
And if any of you have a rich uncle or cousin, family member, dad, mom, auntie that wants to sponsor us, tell her, holler.
We need sugar
Holler.
parents. We need sugar parents. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're poor. Our families are all poor. We're really striking out with our side. But if any of you have any benefactors looking for a case, we'll take it.
We have all these people want to come on our podcast. It's like, we don't pay, so I don't know what to tell you. Oh, okay. So, but we got some good friends. We have good friends.
Thank you all so very, very much. We appreciate you. And I kind of like to end here to say, I know that this work is valuable, it's meaningful, it creates change, and I know that as employees doing this work, we don't always get the gratitude that we deserve. So I would just like to say from my heart to yours, and I'm sure I can speak for Carl as well, we appreciate everything that you do. Keep on rocking. And remember, take this back to your workplace. Don't just let this be a fun week in Sacramento. Take all of this information and go initiate change. Be the change that you want to see, my friends. So we'll see you around. We'll see you in 30 minutes on the stage.
We'll see you in 30 minutes on the stage. Yeah.